Jacob had been living with his uncle Laban for many years. He had worked hard, taking care of Laban's flocks, and he had even started a family of his own. But as time passed, Jacob began to feel that it was time to return to his homeland. One day, as he was tending to the sheep, God spoke to Jacob in a dream. God said, "Jacob, it's time for you to return to the land of Canaan, to your own people." Jacob listened to God's guidance and shared his decision with his wives, Rachel and Leah. They agreed that it was time to leave Laban's household and return to Jacob's homeland. So Jacob gathered his family and his belongings and set out on the journey back to Canaan. They travelled with their sheep, their goats, and their children, looking forward to the new adventures that awaited them. Laban, Jacob's uncle, soon heard that Jacob had left with his family and his flocks. Laban was worried, for Jacob had been a great help to him over the years. He decided to chase after Jacob to bring him back. As Laban and his men caught up with Jacob's caravan, they confronted him. Laban said, "Why did you leave without saying goodbye? You've taken my daughters and grandchildren with you." Jacob explained, "I left quietly because I was afraid you would stop me. But I've served you faithfully for many years. God has blessed me with these flocks, and it's time for me to return to my own land." Laban understood Jacob's reasons and didn't want to harm him or his family. Instead, they decided to make a covenant, a special agreement to ensure their peaceful separation. They gathered stones and built a monument as a symbol of their covenant. They also made promises to each other. Jacob promised not to harm Laban's daughters, and Laban promised not to harm Jacob. They agreed that this monument will stand as a witness to their covenant. With their agreement in place, Laban returned to his land, and Jacob continued his journey back to Canaan with his family and his flocks. Along the way, they remembered God's guidance and the importance of making peaceful agreements with one another. And so, dear children, the story of Genesis chapter 31 teaches us about the value of keeping our promises and making peace with others. Just like Jacob and Laban, we can find ways to resolve our differences and part ways in peace, creating a world filled with understanding and cooperation. It's a story of moving forward with hope and gratitude for the lessons learned along the way. Good night, little children. God bless you.